Hey everybody, this is Bob Cargill from Bob Cargill's Marketing Show, and I am recording my podcast. I'm so fortunate to be recording my podcast, first of all, with Casey Cheshire sitting right next to me, but also the venue. We are here on the campus of Fisher College, where I am an adjunct professor, inbound marketing, and Fisher College is located on Beacon Street in Boston. Great neighborhood, not necessarily great time of year. It's cold, it's icy, it's chilly out there, but we're here in this awesome studio, ridiculously awesome studio with Ryan behind the window there, helping us out record this podcast, and yes, with Casey Cheshire. Why Casey? Because number one, he's awesome and ridiculously awesome, and also because I invited him here to campus to be a guest speaker in my class on inbound marketing. First of all, hi, Casey. Thanks for being here.
This is so much fun. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so happy you're here, and it looks like we're promoting Dr. Pepper.
We are sponsored by Diet Dr. Pepper. Woo!
Hint,
the sweet
Dr.
thing.
Pepper.
Right here it is.
I told Casey if we were famous and they weren't a sponsor and they're not, we'd take off the labels and all of that.
That's right.
But
that's right. We got to pay for that.
We're not fancy. We're not formal. We're not famous. At least I'm not. Casey is.
Yeah, speak for yourself, right? Come on now.
Casey is my guest today, and we met a bunch of years, we were joking, before the pandemic, and that was a long time ago. I think I was on your podcast.
Yeah.
Did it take me this long to have you on my podcast?
It did.
That's my bad.
I'm gonna cross you off my naughty list now that you've had me on.
There you go. Yeah,
why not?
I'm good now. You did a big favor to me, for me today in my class by coming down from Nashua here to Boston. You spoke about marketing automation and podcasting a little bit. We're going to talk a lot about podcasting and connecting with the customer. We're both in marketing. We both have similar, but not at all identical paths to where we are now in the professional world. I've been in marketing since 1983. I think you a lot fewer years, but
I was a couple years old at that point.
Yeah. So, so I got a couple decades on you. I think
you do.
Casey.
You're the grand poobah.
And you were also not early in the journey in marketing like I was. You were serving our country. You're a former Marine, and thank you for your service to our
I
country.
gotta say though that there are no former Marines.
Always, once a Marine, always a
that's
Marine.
it.
My bad. You are a Marine.
That's it.
And that impresses the heck out of me.
That's it.
You impress the heck out of me, period. You came down today to talk about marketing automation because that's a big part of my inbound marketing class, and that is something you've done an awful lot of in your career, and you have that book and all that. But we're going to talk about podcasting because that's your company now, Ringmaster, right?
Absolutely.
And connecting with your audience, however way possible. What's your number one rule or methodology when you try to connect with somebody in marketing, in business, in sales? How do you start out? How's that?
Yeah, you know what? You really just got to talk to people. And we talked a lot about marketing automation. I spent decades getting people to email and spam and use technology. But one of the things I found is that if you're not careful, that tech can layer up and just build these walls in between you and your buyer. So what ends up happening is you know less and less about your buyer. You have more and more stats in automation, but less and less about them. And so what happens is when you have these gaps, you start making up your own things. You hallucinate like AI, making up what you think your customer needs, what their pain is. And I know we talk about this a lot, but you don't actually know. And so then you fill in those gaps. You are almost always wrong what actually your customer needs. So I took that. It's a great chapter in marketing automation. It's still very helpful for companies. But what I've realized is you just need to start having these one-on-one conversations. And a podcast, that's just recording a conversation, right? Record it or don't record it, but either way, still have that conversation.
Conversations like these with prospective customers so that you get to know them, and let's not let technology get between us and the human part of doing business. People do business with people. I couldn't agree with you more, Casey. I've been wed, if you will, joined at the hip with social media and now AI and learning and using all these technologies, but we can't let any of that get between us and one-to-one conversations like this is what you're saying.
I remember having coffee with a customer of mine, and I'd been really struggling to understand what their business was and also what they were trying to do, what their goal was, things that all I really need to know in order to help them. And I bought them coffee. It's for the price of coffee at Starbucks, which admittedly is not all that cheap, but for the price of just that,
Yes.
I was able into one conversation, create a relationship, build some trust and rapport, and learn exactly what they did, and then identify some of the gaps they had to immediately to like build a whole plan to address them. Right? That was just over one coffee drink. But all these other phone calls, we didn't quite get at that. But all we just needed was one sit down, face to face, share a little caffeine, and learn about what's going on.
It makes perfect sense, and I want you to know I'm proud to say that one of the first exercises in our class across the street on inbound marketing, they're doing a marketing plan. That's the end result, but we're starting with personas. We're starting with studying the customer, understanding the different segments of your marketplace, what makes people tick, psychographics, demographics. This is a fictitious example of the brand's customer. Ideally, maybe they'll end up talking to the brands for which they're doing these marketing plans, and actually sit down alongside customers and prospective customers, because you want to know them as people.
Absolutely. It drives me bonkers when, again, we hide behind the technology. Hey, do you know what's going on with your customer? Yeah, I sent a survey out. Well, I recently received a survey, and it was about, hey, tell us, what was the core reason that you bought this product or you were looking at this product? And there were like 5 different reasons, none of which were the reason that I was actually interested in that. None of them were even close, but there was no other. It was just here are 5. Like 5 executives had their own idea about what it was going to be, and they picked these 5. So right away, off the very drop for that survey, it's wrong. It's incorrect. And if they make any decisions off that survey, it has a high likelihood of being incorrect and driving the company who knows where.
They lose an opportunity to do business with you. But how, though, easy said by us two, because we know each other. We're sitting down talking to each other one-on-one.
Sharing a Diet Dr. Pepper, very tasty beverage,
Cheers.
I must say. Cheers.
How, though, do businesses and brands get close to their customers when everybody's so busy, nobody wants to pick up the phone, read their email from a business or brand? So what's the secret to getting to know your customer if you're a brand or business?
And see, this is where we should focus our time and attention at marketing conferences and webinars and surveys and classes. It's not about all those other gadgets. It's, hey, how do we get their time? How do we get the chance to have a conversation? Bribe them, send them coffee, send them an Amazon gift card. But the customers that truly love you, they'll be happy to hop on because they've been dying to tell someone.
Do we use social media perhaps to engage online and then take it offline? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say start a conversation there. You got to be careful. There's a lot of that AI going on, the little fakery going on. But if you can start a conversation there, but take it offline, bring it into the real world, have a conversation.
So I told you, in my class over here at Fisher College, inbound marketing, they are doing marketing plans, and they all have picked company as teams. There's 5 teams, I believe, we broke the class up into, and I can tell you one of them is doing a bookstore. I'll give you another example. They're doing a chain that sells cream puffs. Can you believe it? So I'll give you those 2 examples. How, if you were the cream puff store or the bookstore, would you suggest they, as companies, get to know their customers better, or their prospective customers? How could they do what you and I are doing right now, perhaps, with their customers? Is that a challenge, or?
Well, I would give them feedback for a cream puff. If they said, here's a tasty, delectable treat, please answer this question. You got it. I'll tell you my answer. So even just pulling people aside, asking them, hey, we got stuff for you here. Just like, it doesn't have to be elegant. It can just literally be asking the question.
So it's any which way you can get to know your audience, if you will. I'm speaking in marketing terms, not as literal necessarily as what you and I are doing. It's any way you can
Yeah, but I would
connect.
say in person is going to be the best because often it's not the answer to the first question, it's the follow-up question. And they say, "Well, I came here because of XYZ. Tell me more about that." And sometimes part 2 is what gives you the magic.
I actually love what you're saying, because every brand or business, as long as they have interaction with their audience, because I'm thinking again with technology, is it possible for all businesses and brands, but any business or brand that has physical interaction, if they're in the same room, can do what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But what if they're only online? What if it's an e-commerce business only?
Then I'm offering them some kind of juice in order to hop on a quick call with me. We got to get that face-to-face in.
Yeah. And if it's an example, it doesn't have to be every single member of your target audience, but at least a member from each of the audience segments.
Oh, absolutely.
So that you get to know the different segments. I had an experience recently I'm going to share with you that I think ties back to what we're talking about, relates perfectly. In the emergency room at a hospital. About 75 people in the hospital. I had this bump that's pretty conspicuous in its presence.
You bonked yourself. What
Yeah,
happened?
I bonked myself. Car door the other day, 2 weeks
Jeez.
ago. Oh,
Ouch.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it was slippery. It was a day kind of like today, but it was snowing too. It was icy on the ground, cold, and I slammed the door in my head. My bad. Clumsy mistake. I end up in the emergency room, and I ended up feeling like this can't be an emergency to them because I had to wait 7 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And I was thinking, this hospital is a business, smart people, successful hospital, outstanding care once you
Get in.
see the doctor. But there was no one around to talk to me and all the others waiting to be cared for. So if they had just one employee, even if it was an intern, it doesn't have to be a high level employee, although I would have been very, very impressed if the CEO was walking around talking to patients and explaining why it's such a long wait, asking how you're doing. Hey, can I get you a Diet Dr. Pepper?
Yeah.
Hey, you're bleeding from the forehead.
Yeah.
Do you want, a towel for that? They didn't have anyone, of all places, a healthcare organization helping. Is that related to what we're talking about?
Well, and it gets into a bigger topic, but oftentimes with healthcare, it's a bit of a monopoly. You don't have as many choices, or you think you don't. And so then you kind of just go to where you need to go. You're looking for help, but man, 7 hours. You know what? It's interesting. I've definitely seen up in New Hampshire, we have a lot of urgent care, right? And urgent care is going to slowly eat the lunch of more of the primary care because I've seen on signs on the highway, urgent care, be seen in 10 minutes. So next time you bonk your head,
I know.
call me and we'll go to New Hampshire.
Well, here's something. So I'll admit, I never complain. I'm always positive, and I don't see this as me complaining in this instance. But I did send this hospital an email, and I actually heard from them, which actually ends up a perfect story because
Impressive.
they called me and we had a good conversation. And I said what I'm saying to them. I said, if you just had someone walking around talking to people, like you're talking to me now, it would have made me and everybody else feel a lot better. I also said to them, to go back to your urgent care, if you told me in others it was a 7-hour wait, I might have gone elsewhere because I did hear after the fact.
Oh, they didn't tell you either.
Yeah.
So it's a mystery.
They could have just told us. And then, ironically, they might not have had such a backup because other people might have explored their options.
Right.
And you're right about the urgent care. And this ties back to marketing and branding and business in general. A lot of lessons here. What if you're, so we talked about, I said the cream puffs, you said feedback for a free cream puff or half a cream puff. A lot of feedback, you get one. Just a little, you get half. Those are expensive cream puffs.
If you like the store, you get a cream. If you hate the store, then get out.
That's a good one. What about the bookstore? Any specific suggestions?
What would we do with the bookstore?
I'm putting you on the spot here, Casey.
It's really getting into people's head. Why do you like reading? Right?
Yeah.
Is it about the book or is it about where the book takes you? Oftentimes the best question to ask is, what were you thinking when you decided to go to the bookstore? What was happening?
Customer journey. Yeah.
Right?
What brought you here?
Because there's some sort of inflection point that might have happened. Maybe it's cold, or maybe you're bored, or maybe you're sad, or maybe you're looking for something else. What was it that made you go, yeah, I want to go to the bookstore?
Yeah.
So if they can find out more about that, then the marketing can start to take shape, and you can start trying to encourage that to happen. You can remind them of that experience.
I agree totally with everything you're saying, and I think you're onto something. There's a book here, Casey, if you're not already thinking about that. And maybe someone's already written something similar, but the fact that with all of the technology, AI, social, digital, what have you, why aren't we paying more attention to just human to human?
Yeah.
Tell me how your podcasting business, Ringmaster, ties back to everything we're talking about.
It's simple. We just connect companies with their ideal buyers. We get them as guests on your podcast.
Yes.
And the sky's the limit. You can ask them anything. They're happy to be there. They're happy to have the attention. And then guess what? Inevitably, relationships begin. You can help them, trust forms, and a whole lot of customers can come from that experience. And you didn't have to trick them. None of this marketing trickery to try to get them on a call with your sales rep. You just connect with a one-to-one. Give them some time and attention.
I'll admit, I feel like Howard Stern, because I heard he doesn't prepare a lot for his interviews. I know you, and we just spent the last hour and 15 minutes together in the classroom, but we didn't really rehearse for this conversation.
No.
And I didn't ask you a ton about Ringmaster. And now that I'm understanding your proposition, your business prop, it makes total sense. So, for instance, a school could have its own podcast, and they could talk to students at the school, or high school students who might want to go to the school, attend the school in the future, the higher education institution.
It works best for a B2B company.
B2B.
SaaS is brilliant. The conversion rate from a podcast to a demo is close to 80-90%.
So are the podcasts then broadcast publicly, for instance, Spotify and
Absolutely.
iHeartMedia, et cetera, with potential customers?
Right.
And then they become customers because I agree with that.
Your guest is a potential customer. Your audience are potential customers. Everyone's a potential, it's amazing.
Do they ever suspect, if you will, that, hey, you're just trying to get to know me better so that I'll become a customer, or does that even matter?
It's a great question. It's like the Transformers. It's like Spider-Man. This can be used for good or for ill. With great power comes great responsibility. You can try to trick people, but then they're going to know what's going on, and then you've lost them, and then you didn't get that sale, and you didn't get that episode, and it doesn't work if you try to trick people. But some people try.
This is masterful, because having almost 200 episodes. This is close. Sorry, I don't think it's going to be my 200th episode, but like my 197th or 198th. 197.
Let's do it.
I'm right around there.
Yeah.
I have told people having the podcast, and I don't want to give it up because I get to know people so well.
Right.
Because when you have these conversations, you're very focused.
Absolutely.
Nothing's distracting us right now.
Absolutely.
Maybe the camera's a little bit.
Right.
And in the Diet Dr. Pepper, we keep sipping our Diet Dr.
Absolutely.
Pepper. But seriously, we're having a great one-to-one conversation. I've told people, because of my podcast, I get to know so many people that I wouldn't otherwise know as intimately, as deeply, as closely as I get to know them when I interview them on podcasts. So you are on to something. Am I giving your secrets away right now by putting this out there?
Hey, do a pod. Don't even work with us if you like. I mean, what we do is we do everything so that our clients can just focus on the conversation, right? Because podcasting, there's all the guest work, all the production, the promotion, all that. And that's why a lot of people pod fade. I don't know if you've heard that term, pod fade.
I love the term. I do not know, but I know it's like shopping cart abandonment, right?
Yeah. Well, pod fade is you started a podcast, you got a couple episodes in, you realized, wow, I only have 4 people listening, and it's a lot of hard work, and then you stop doing it, right? So that's where we come in. We come in and we say, hey, company, rather than look like you're an amateur with your brand new podcast, let's make this look like $1 million so your guest wants to join it.
Wow.
And then we take care of everything.
You are onto something big. I'm really happy that we're talking about this, because I feel like I'm in on something potentially very big. I don't like you were saying.
You don't like me. Man,
No, I love you. I don't like you. I love you,
like,
man. No, I don't like all the other stuff that goes along with podcasting. For instance, Ryan behind the window is helping us immensely. And he said he's going to send me the file from his podcast. And I like freak out. Oh my God, the file. Then I got to edit.
You got to edit.
I got to upload it.
It's work,
and then
man.
the show
It's
notes
work.
and all that stuff. frankly,
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of that.
Yeah.
I like to go beginning to end, no edits. My son, Ben, thank you, Ben, helps me out when I do
Yep.
need editing. And I put it up there. I don't promote it. I just like doing this.
Right.
So hypothetically, I could be a perfect customer.
Hypothetically.
I'm
yeah.
not a B2B. And I
But
do
you
it.
kind of are.
Yeah.
You're with your consulting.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So I could be, folks.
Yeah,
I
it
could be
could
an
be.
example of a
Could be.
perfect client. But so who knows?
Who
Casey?
knows, man? Who knows?
Where this will lead.
But you're doing the right thing. You're connecting with people.
I
you
am.
know? So the
I
idea
am.
is just shifting your
So
guests.
go back to, let's.
Yeah, but start guesting. You have people on as guests who could be your consulting.
Well, I think I started out doing that, but as we've talked, in this personal, but my career's taken a turn, and
Yeah.
I love what I'm doing as an adjunct professor,
Yeah.
4 different schools right now, and I love doing what I do because I'm passionate about it. I really, to be honest with you, I am not proactive in seeking
Yeah.
consulting gigs or clients. If they come, they come, but I really like just having these conversations. So
100%.
and keeping my podcasting going, because I like staying abreast of what's new, what
Right.
who's happening with new
Right.
companies like Ringmaster.
Now you just sprinkle a few companies in there that might be ideal customers for you. Your ideal persona.
I
and then
can tell you
magic
who that would
happens.
be. It's where I want to guest speak.
Yeah.
It's where I
You
want
have
to
them.
teach.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
So you have guests in there related to those things.
that's brilliant.
And it's not
Publishing companies.
This is not you're not tricking people.
No,
You're just
no.
being intentional.
Well, because it's a win-win.
It's a win-win. You're being intentional. I would like to form a relationship with you.
Yeah,
Come be on my podcast.
yeah.
You know?
It's a win-win, and it's actually, when I think about it, something I've done my whole career to a degree.
Yeah.
Again, not with podcasting per se, but anyone who's fundamentally first of all, quality human being, I'd like to say, let's say, I'll speak about yourself, quality
Yes,
human
yes,
being,
thank you.
but also great business sense. It makes great sense because it's a way of forming a relationship that helps them,
Yeah.
maybe helps you, hopefully helps you, probably will help you. And you also have this body of work, the podcast itself, which people can listen to and learn from.
Absolutely.
Enough. Good. I got it. But
do
I want to segue. So I said enough, but I want to hear just a few other things.
Yeah.
You came down from New Hampshire, right?
Yes.
Nashua.
Yes.
We're here on Beacon Street, Boston, Fisher College. Awesome recording studio. Thank you, Ryan, for everything you're doing behind the glass. What else is new in your life that you can share? We said you're a Marine.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Yes.
You climb mountains. I know that. Can you
Mountains.
tell us a little bit about that?
I liked big, tall things off in the distance. It sort of challenges and taunts me to try to climb it. And it's a bit of an addiction because then you want to climb bigger and bigger
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
You know?
Should
And
I?
then ski down them.
You're a skier too. I
Yeah,
know you're very athletic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your website kind of reflects that a lot.
It does. Yeah.
You're a go-getter. You're an achiever. You're strong.
Yeah.
These are your
I
qualities.
like to have fun.
But you're also very likable, very friendly,
Thank you.
very outgoing. Can you tell me anything about personal life that folks may not know that you want to share? You have kids. We were talking
Yeah,
about
I have
that.
kids. I mean, family is so cool. Like, I feel like family is the main quest, right? Family is the main quest, and all these other things are side quests. Now, they might be a really cool side quest,
Wow.
but like, it's important to understand when you're playing the video game of life, career at some point, but then eventually you realize, whoa, this side quest it becomes your main quest. You know? So it's one of those things. Family's important, but you got to invest just as much time in that as you might invest in your own education, your career,
Of course.
and it's not like it just works.
It's a juggling
You
act.
got to work at it.
It's a juggling act. Again,
Yeah,
I have more years of that juggling than you.
It's true.
And
you do.
it
You do.
can make your head spin sometimes. But yeah, we have to have our priorities straight.
Yeah.
And we're both athletic in that I'm a runner, you're a mountain climber, but I think you've done your share of running too as well, right?
Yeah, I love that you keep calling me athletic because you're the marathon, right? Like, it's like the pot calling the kettle a teacup or something. Like,
I think I know what you're saying.
You're doing the
Well,
the Boston Marathon all the time.
but
and
you
all
were
that.
you were a Marine, and you have to be athletic just to have
True.
gone through that.
Or just sign the paper, and then and then just
too late.
Too
Too little, too late.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just hoping to get done my 20th Boston Marathon in about 6 weeks.
Well, like I said, we're gonna duct tape that thing up. And
My
get you through
hamstring,
it.
yeah, and refer me to your virtual
Absolutely. Shout out to Bonnie.
trainer. Bonnie, you'll be hearing from me.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Casey Cheshire, thank you. How can people reach Ringmaster or yourself if they want to talk to you?
Yeah, ringmaster.com is the web. My email's simple. It's Casey, Casey, at ringmaster.com. You can find me there. Shoot me any questions. I'm happy to just share knowledge, point to examples. Hey, check this out, check this out. If you want to work with us, happy to do that. But if you just want some questions to get answered, happy to do that too.
Are you the Ringmaster? I just thought of that too.
Well, you know what? Every single one of our clients becomes their own ringmaster. Because if you think about the ringmaster, they are pretty cool, but they're also pointing, hey, here's this guest, here's this guest, here's this, the trapeze artist, the clowns, the this, the that. So you gain credibility and you gain attention by pointing at other people and projecting to other people. Like, go look at this person, right? You're a ringmaster right now in your podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either you rehearsed that answer or that was just the perfect question for you.
Perfect question.
Wow, you thought through the name of that brand
Absolutely.
and naming your business, and it makes perfect sense. Everything you're saying makes perfect sense.
Well, thank you.
So, kudos,
Absolutely.
man. You are hitting it out of the park.
Oh, there it goes.
Thank you, Casey Cheshire. Thank you. Ringmaster, Casey at ringmaster.com.
Yep.
Or look up ringmaster.com, right?
That's it.
And that's the website. And you've heard from Casey. You heard enough from me, right? You always hear more than enough from me. It's about my guest today, Casey Cheshire. Thank you. And it's about Fisher College. That we're here at a ridiculously awesome recording studio and with our ridiculously awesome assistant, Ryan, behind the glass. We thank you, Ryan. We thank Fisher College. And I thank you, whoever's watching, whoever's listening, for tuning in to Bob Cargill's Marketing Show.